Hi, this is Miss Park, and this video is called Midpoint of a Line Segment. So finding the midpoint of a line segment literally means find the point that's in the middle of a line segment. Okay, and so let's call this line segment AB. This midpoint we usually call M. Okay, and we show that it's a midpoint by showing that it cuts the line segment AB in two equal parts, and those little tick marks show that those two side lengths are equal. Sorry, two lengths of those lines are equal. Okay, so let's say I had a line segment sitting on a number line. Okay, so here's a line segment, and I'm going to have it sit on this number line. Okay, and this is a 2 here on the number line. Here's 0, and this is 8. Okay, where is the midpoint on the number line? Well, it's going to be in the middle of 2 and 8. What number is in the middle between 2 and 8? Well, that would be 5. And we can kind of see that's like 3 from 2 and also 3 from 8. But if I gave you numbers that were not as friendly, so let's say I said that this is 1.2 and the other end is going to be all the way at 8.76, right? How would you find this midpoint? Right, so what we would do is we would do this. It'd say, well, 5 is halfway between 2 and 8. And to find the halfway number, that's called finding the average. And so when we find the average of two things, we add them up and divide by 2. So the 2 plus 8 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. So really I'm finding the average. So I would do the same thing even when the numbers are not friendly. I would say that's 1.2 plus 8.76 divided by 2, and that's whatever that works out to be. Okay, so when we're doing midpoints using analytic geometry where on the grid where there are points x, y, the same thing applies. So if I have these 2 points, okay, so pretend this is plotted on a grid, and this is the point A57, and this is the point B39, sorry, B93, nope, B99 is what I meant. Okay, there we go. Okay, then where is this midpoint M? Where is that? Well, that's going to be halfway across from A to B. So halfway from the x's 5 to 9 is going to be 7. So we know that it's going to be 7 across. And then to go up, I'm going to go from 7 up to 9. So halfway from 7 to 9 is going to be at 8. So my midpoint is going to be at 7, 8. All right, so in general, what we do is this. We say if I have 2 points, A, x1, y1, and B, x2, y2, then where is the midpoint? The midpoint is going to be halfway between the x's, so it's going to be the average of the two x's, and then halfway between the two y's, so it's going to be the average of the two y's. And so this way we can do this with any points that we're given. And once again, we'll show the midpoint by making these tick marks. Doesn't matter how many tick marks, as long as they're the same. That shows that those two line segments are the same length. Okay, so that is how you find the midpoint. Now let me ask you a question here. Suppose they give you A. So suppose they give you A. I'm just going to find it in the book. Okay, so the A is 6.5, and the midpoint is 4.2. Okay, and the question is, what's the other endpoint? All right, so you might be able to reason this out. If you had the A 6.5, and here's your B, so A and B, 6.5, and now we want, and the midpoint is 4.2. What is this going to be? Okay, so you can pause the video here for a second if you want to think about it, right? Remember that the midpoint is going to be halfway between the A and the B. So pause here for a moment if you want to think. Okay, so for the B, I know that to get from A to M, I have to go down 2 units in the x's from 6 to 4. So B means go down another 2 units. so that my 4 is halfway between 6 and 2. And then for the y's, I have to go down from 5 down to 2. And so I should go down again another 3 units to -1. And I can see that my 2 is halfway between 5 and -1. So you can totally reason through this if that's what you want to do. Or another way is to show algebraically using the formula. We can do this. We know that the midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2, right? We don't know x2 and y2, but we know x1 and y1. So we know that 6 plus whatever x2 is over 2 and 5 plus whatever y2 is over 2 is going to be equal to the 0.42. That's the midpoint. Right? And so we can break this up into two equations to solve. So 6 plus x2 over 2 equals 4, and 5 plus y2 over 2 equals 2. Right? To solve these equations with the fractions, remember how we cleared fractions before? You can multiply both sides by the denominator. Make sure you do it to both sides. And so here, this 2 and this 2 would reduce. And I'm left with 6 plus x2 equals 8. x2 equals 8 minus 6. And then x2 equals to 2, which we did by reasoning up here. Okay, and then we do the same thing for the y's. I see there's a denominator of 2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator to clear the fractions. This 2 and this 2 reduces. And I get 5 plus y2 equals 4. y2 equals 4 minus 5. y2 equals -1. And so that checks out also by reasoning. So therefore, the other endpoint is b to -1. Okay, that's midpoint. Please practice. Thanks for watching.